maybe would be just appropriate if we all just took a moment and introduced ourselves and what grades you attended up at District Number 2 school. We'll start with Ruth.
Okay, I was Ruth Whitman. My family moved to town in the fall of 1940. I had started first grade in Ayer, Massachusetts, where we lived, but I spent virtually all of the first 6 years of my schooling at District Number 2.
Yes, I'm Raymond Lindsay. We come to West Brookfield somewhere around 42, and we attended about 3 grades before we moved on to the lower school downtown. Right now I live in Barry, Mass. I've been there since 1949, and seems to be our home.
Don't you miss West Brookfield? Been away since 1949?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Jim?
My name is James Pierce. I was born in West Brookfield. Right at the house I was born in is right across the street from where the gentleman lives today, the Comstock House. I went to school, all 6 grades there, first grade through to 6, and then we moved on.
And wasn't your mother the person who built the start of the fires in school?
Yeah.
In the school?
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. My mother did, my father did after that, and I think my great-grandmother started that before him. Go up and start the wood stove before the kids came to school.
Right, yeah. And didn't your mother used to be substitute teacher once in a while? I remember that.
She could have,
Yeah.
I don't recall that, but that's very
Yeah,
cool.
she lived close by, and her teacher could not come for whatever reason, you know. But
Okay. Yeah. This is right across the street
Right.
from us.
yeah,
It's very possible.
yeah.
Jim, you're fortunate the school is no longer there because you don't have to cut the wood and bring it over and start the fire in the morning.
No, Charlie, you should introduce yourself too, and go on from there.
Okay, my name is Charles Whitman. I come from a long line. My mother handed my father, but outside of that, we moved into town in 1940, right? And started my first grade, and I was the only one in the 5th grade, so my teacher put me into the 6th grade. And I never got credit for that because when the school closed, I had to start the 6th grade all over again in a different town. So that's my story.
I'm Richard Buzzell. Had a good time with Charlie a lot of the time I lived with in that neighborhood, which is all my life. And we could always find a way to entertain ourselves, and we were such a short distance apart, we'd always run to the next guy's house and do something different. And we did enjoy going through that school, and we didn't know how much we enjoyed it until now. You had to go through the whole thing, and you can see all the fun stuff we did.
Yeah.
Plus, we got a good education. And then Mrs. LaPlante was probably the best one that we had. She was tough, but she was good.
She was the best one anyone ever had.
Yeah. She made sure that you knew what you were talking about whatever.
Richard, did you start grade 1 at that
One
school?
yeah, and right through 6.
1 through 6.
And that's when we moved downtown.
Any of the your brothers or sisters attend that school too?
Yeah, they were.
We'll see them in the pictures that we've been passing around. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't even probably remember the ones that started before me. Because they got up in the grade.
Well, Ralph was there when I was there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know if Polly went to that school or not.
I don't think so. I think she already getting older.
And also Roger, I'm not sure if he went to that school or not.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of brothers and sisters, as I did.
He's
Which was our entertainment.
Richard lived on a large farm up there, more than.
Yeah. I ran up the hill to get to school.
Huge barn.
Yeah.
At your home.
Yeah.
Fern,
For McGreevy, I went to first grade at the District 2 school. That was it.
only the first grade?
They closed it after that.
Now, that photo that I saw, that's you, and you were in the first grade then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your brothers and sisters weren't there.
Five of us were in that school off and on, yeah.
Yeah.
And Fern's father, I recently, Bill told me that her father, Frank McCreevy, who was of course a big man about town and a big farmer, but when he left high school, he immediately started as a teacher at District Number 2. I never knew that.
I didn't either.
And of course, he went on to be on the school committee for a long time and other positions in town. But he started his professional life at District Number 2.
Norma Jalbert, now Russo. I was born in Farmington, Maine, March 5th, 1933. And we lived there 5 years. I went to kindergarten there. And then my family moved down here to Parma because my father had heard about the Quabbin and they needed workers, so he needed a job or higher pay or something. So they packed us all in the car. There was 4 of us, I think, at that time. And we ended up in Ayer, Massachusetts too, I don't know why, in a little cabin in the woods for the summer. And then my mother wanted to get me into school by fall, so they moved to Gilbertville, Mass, and that's where I went to first grade. And then my father got a job at Perkins Machine in Warren, and they moved to Warren. So I did second grade in Warren, and then he moved up on Ragged Hill. I went 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade at District Number 2, and I had 2 other sisters and a brother that went there also. After my 3rd year, though, we moved to East Brookfield, and I had to go to a big school in North Brookfield for my 6th and 7th grade, and then in Parma for my 8th grade in high school. That's where I live now.
You had your share of different schools that you
I
went
did.
to, yes. When I was talking to Everett Allen, who I see most every day, he said, "What's your schedule for today?" And I told him about this little meeting. He said his mother, who lived on Prouty Road at the Prouty Farm at the end of the road, used to walk down to District 2 school.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's quite a hike.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Down,
With 3 miles, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
3 miles?
I would guess so.
I would think so, yes.
Yeah, all the way down Prouty Road,
Yeah.
and then Tucker Road, and then down the hill.
Yeah.
And, but going home must have been a little more severe too.
Yeah, uphill.
But Everett has so many great memories, and he can bring up stuff like that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
always like to talk to him. That was Everett's comment for the day. I assume that your families were all there. Richard, where did your family buy their groceries and so forth?
Well, the first thing I remember about was downtown here in West Brookfield. And it was, what was the name of the store over there?
Talking about Wheeler's store?
Wheeler's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wheel.
Or Waldo's Market.
Yeah, Waldo's Market.
Waldo's Market.
And the other one was up next to where the gas station was now, where Haymaker.
Was that the First National?
I guess it was, because they changed
First
it.
National.
Yeah. That would probably be the one, most of the other stuff would have been bought from those places.
I recall seeing your dad's car in front of that last store you were talking about with the haymakers.
Yeah.
A photo of your dad's automobile, and they had the trunk lid removed, and he could carry merchandise. Was he a Raleigh?
Raleigh's, yeah,
Oh, yes, yes.
He sold Raleigh products.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so there is a photo kicking around of your dad's automobile parked in front of that.
Yeah, well, that is him.
So And I know the McGreevy's traded at Wheeler's store, because when I was a youth, I used to take the order on the telephone from your mother, and you would put up the groceries, and they would come down and pick them up. Do you have any stories like that?
Norma?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I know we did once a week, we all got in the car and did our groceries downtown West Brookfield. I don't know the name of the store. It was like on a little street off of Main. And down in the corner of it, if we were good, my mother let us go into the store where we could buy a pencil, coloring book, paper doll, just a little thing like that.
At the Wheeler store.
Yeah.
Well, my family traded also in town at Wheeler store, and a lot at Waldo's. I remember, I think my mother liked the meat at Waldo's, but Wheeler's was a wonderful store because it was just a general store, and you could buy everything from ladies' underwear to men's boots, fishing gear, hunting, shotgun shells and stuff. Yeah, I think even guns and groceries and meat as well.
And fireworks at 4th of July.
What'd you say?
Fireworks at 4th of July.
Oh, yeah, fireworks.
Don't bring those out.
Well, fireworks, you all have a 4th of July event with fireworks up at the end of the valley now.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's quite a,
yeah, you start listening at about 8 o'clock and from then until about 1 or 2. It's loud.
they had to cut down early this year because of the rain came.
Yes, yeah.
That-
That's all that can stop it.
The valley was a good, small group of people, families, that were very proud to live there and had their own social activities.
Oh,
The
yes.
schoolhouse was a lot of it.
Schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess before that, and I had attended a couple parties up at the old campground.
Illegals.
I'm sorry?
Illegals.
Yeah.
Ones that the parents didn't set up for, that's for sure.
Well, I have a story about being at the district school. When we very first were there, in the first grade, our first grade teacher was Miss Morgan. And she was engaged to Charlie Burnham, who lived in Warren. And he used to come and pick her up after school. So very often we would be waiting for Mr. Thrasher, who drove his old Woody Jeep and picked us up. And my sister and I thought it was very romantic that she was engaged to Charlie Burnham. And sometimes she had to stay there with us until Mr. Thrasher showed up. He was probably asleep somewhere. Anyway, so they would go out in the cloakroom and they'd do a little, stuff. And we would peek out the door to watch them. But it also started something else, and that was, Shirley and my sister and I had always sung ourselves to sleep. We started singing when we were little girls, and my mother taught us songs that she knew, which were really kind of ancient songs. We knew songs that nobody else did. So, we would be amusing ourselves by singing while we were waiting for the school bus. And one day Miss Bourne heard us, she said, well, you have to sing at the social. And so that was my introduction to the socials, which was the Wickabog Valley Association. At that point, they met once a month. And one family or one person would be in charge of the entertainment. And the entertainment was always very homegrown. And people would sing and play instruments, and sometimes they had little plays and so on. So Shirley and I started singing, and we continued to do that. We were because we were available and willing, I suppose. We were on almost every program the Wickabog Valley Association had while we lived there. But one particular thing that I always remember was, of course, World War II started, and Bob Frew, the oldest of the Frew boys, was going into the service. He was the first one from the valley, I think, who went. And so, as it became the custom, they had a party at the Wickabog Valley Association to bid him farewell. And so I was to sing a special song to him. Now, I was 6 years old and I was a very, very tiny girl. And I wasn't the least bit shy, I have to say that. So I sang a song called "If He Can Fight Like He Can Love," or "What a Soldier Boy He'll Be." And this big, tall, absolutely handsome Bob Frew came over and knelt down and hugged me and kissed me, and I was so excited. I was transported. And of course, Bob did not come home from the army.
No.
His plane crashed, I think, on the last day of the war.
Yeah. I think he was still in training, but that's how it went. Yeah.
Do any of you others remember any of those gatherings of the Wickabog Valley Association?
Well, I remember we had a lot of them.
Yeah.
And as Bruce said,
Well, I remember this, Richard, that you had charge of the reading for that period of time.
which wasn't very good, was it?
Well, I don't know, but the title was Chaff. And that was an old thing from, I don't remember
Yeah, what the beginning of it was.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember that.
I didn't remember that.
I don't know, I just remembered it, that's all.
I remember the night you and I were down at my house and you turned around to go home and you cut your lower lip on.
Oh,
But I was
yeah.
gonna bleed it that before you got home. But,
Yeah, I went to the doctor with that, like I think he has the stitches for him.
yeah. Well, if you didn't have the beard, I bet you'd still see it. I say if you didn't have, yep,
They're right there,
yeah.
Well, the McGreevy farm was very active. I think nearly 50% of the youth, boys in downtown had their working up there at one point or another. Either turkey season or haying season or something.
I kind of wrote about that, but I think her story should go first because it's more encompassing.
Heard what?
Yeah.
Do you really want me to read it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can shut me up anytime. In the bustle of school openings, bus routes, classroom assignments, new clothes, new friends, excitement, each of us perhaps is drawn to nostalgic memories of our own first day experiences. I share with a few other residents of this and surrounding towns an experience unique to times long past, a school experience even then anachronistic. My family arrived in West Brookfield in the autumn of 1940 to a salt box home little altered from its original structure atop Ragged Hill. My two oldest brothers would attend Warren High School until they were drafted into the military, but my sister, brother, and I became the new kids at District No. 2 School. District schools were a 19th century solution to the education of children in neighborhoods distant from the town's main settlement. Ours was in Wickabog Valley, about 3 miles from town. We were informed that we would be driven to school by Mr. Thrasher, who lived at the bottom of the hill. Our conveyance was a woody wagon, and that we should be ready when he arrived in our rocky, hilly driveway. We were also advised that we might have to knock on his car window to awaken the driver. Harrison Thrasher suffered from narcolepsy, a condition in which a person so afflicted might fall asleep suddenly and at unexpected times. He did frequently. And so began our adventure, which continued for me through 6 years of, believe it or not, superior education. When we arrived at school, we discovered that all of the 6th grades were in one classroom with room to spare. We entered through a small cloakroom where we were directed to hang coats, shed galoshes, and so on. The classroom contained about 20 desks, plus the teacher's oak desk up front. The front and back walls were lined with slate backboards. In one corner stood a tall wood-burning stove, not the pot-bellied black iron variety, but probably a large space heater of the early 19th century origin. Its cavernous firepot held enough wood to heat the room for hours. It was stoked each morning by a neighborhood man who served as janitor, or a woman, Mrs. Pierce. For the remainder of the day, it was the teacher's responsibility to keep it burning. Older boys were sometimes drafted to assist. A stovepipe suspended from the ceiling by wires ran around the perimeter of the room. It doubtless radiated whatever heat we received. There was electricity in the form of a few bulbs hanging from the ceiling and a wall outlet or two. There was a sink in one corner, no faucets, but a pump issuing forth no water. Our water supply for drinking was held in a large crockery vessel sitting near the sink, from which we could obtain a drink, if necessary, from the attached spigot. Bathroom facilities were outside in the rear, a privy for the boys and a separate one for the girls, 3 holes per side. Of course, they were unheated and unpopular. On one wall inside the schoolroom hung the usual print of George Washington, a United States 48-star flag, and a hand-wound schoolhouse clock. There was no telephone, although many, not in all homes in Wickabog Valley, were so equipped. When I was in the 2nd grade, new desks with attached seats and lift tops replaced the old initial-scarred traditional ones, in which the seat of one attached to the desk of another. We were thrilled and amazed with such luxury. Large pull-down charts hung above the blackboards. They were reading charts in which children named John and Ruth and their dog named Rover were depicted. They cavorted in primary colors with farmyard animals and sometimes rode in automobiles which dated from the earliest days of motorized vehicles, with duster-clad people named Mother and Father. A small bookcase in the corner of the room contained the entire school library, a dictionary, textbooks for each class, and a few literary classics. A pull-down map of the United States completed the decor. On the first day of the school year, we were provided with a pencil, also a pen with replaceable points and ink after the grade 4, which presumably you could be trusted not to spill the ink. The glass inkwell rested inside a hole in the desk. Crayons were kept for special occasions, not issued to each child. We were cautioned not to take our pens and pencils home, as replacements might not be available. Paper was doled out as needed, but we were cautioned not to be wasted. A yellow sheet was for math, white line paper for written assignments, and we were never given homework. Clothing was casual. We were mostly farm children, many of whom did barn and other chores before coming to school. Most of us, boys and girls, wore sturdy, high-top leather shoes. You could purchase replacement heels and soles downtown at Malloy's General Store, which became Wheeler's General Store. Girls never wore slacks or pants to school, never, despite cold weather, but guarded long cotton stockings that bagged and wrinkled and never stayed up. Dresses and skirts might be worn, hand-me-down. In the springtime, some of the better-off kids might sport a new pair of sneakers to the envy of all. After the advent of printed grain bags during World War II, grain bag dresses were fashionable, whipped up on the treadle Singer sewing machine. We ironed them with flat irons, heated on the wood-fired kitchen range. At recess, there were usual games of jump rope, red rover, hill dill, snap the whip, and hopscotch, marbles, and baseball. Usually, the entire student body participated in the game of the day, with only minor strife, if any. My first grade teacher was Miss Evelyn Moore of Warren, who soon became Mrs. Charles Berman. When she subsequently became with child, the law at that time required that she could no longer be employed as a school teacher. She was replaced by the woman who largely influenced and enriched the lives of a number of her pupils, as many from across the country and in all walks of life have since attested. Anna Cedar Plant was nearly of retirement age when she agreed to teach at District Number 2. A tall lady with gray hair braided about her head, she lived nearby with her husband Everett. In her early days of teaching, which was at District Number 4 school, on the backside of Ragged Hill, she'd harnessed her horse to her wagon, driven it to the school, and hitched it outside until it was time to go home. In winter, both trips would have been made in darkness. She was a formidable lady and a gifted teacher. MCAS tests were for another century, but Mrs. LaPlante had standards for every subject and every lesson of every day, and her pupils were never left in any doubt as to what they were. Every moment of every day was a lesson in life, as well as a lesson in the subjects taught in our school. My class throughout most of my years there consisted of 4 or 5 students. It's remarkable to consider that 6th grade, studying reading, writing, arithmetic, history, and geography, underwent instruction in every subject every day, and learn we did. A student proficient in a subject might be allowed to sit in with a more advanced grade, but only if his own work was completed. A 1st or 2nd grader struggling with reading or writing might be seated with an accomplished 5th or 6th grader for special tutoring. All of these arrangements taking place within one classroom. Special education classes did not exist, but mentally and physically challenged children were accommodated and assimilated into regular classes, and they blossomed, it seemed, invariably. We brought our lunches, of course. Most lunches consisted of a sandwich, an orange or apple, and perhaps a piece of cake or a cookie. As we sat at our desks and lunched, Mrs. LaPlante read to us for 1/2 hour every day. The books were mostly children's classics, but not baby stuff by any means. The Boy Captive of Old Deerfield enthralled us with its horrifying truths. Little Women, Tom Sawyer, poems by James Whitcomb Riley and Eugene Field, Longfellow when Kipling came to life with lunch. Humor, drama, play, and pathos. She read it all, with verve and with style. The room remained silent, and then outside to play for another 1/2 hour until she pulled the rope of the big bell mounted on the roof to summon us inside. One year, an epidemic of whooping cough enveloped the valley. Concerned with the probability of weeks of missed school, Mrs. LaPlante consulted with school and health authorities and then announced that if students felt well enough to attend school, they should do so. Every family had it, so no quarantine was necessary, she reasoned. The room full of coughing, whooping kids at times was really noisy and disruptive, and all cause for laughter too, but school continued throughout the epidemic. At the end of those 6 years, we were sent 3 miles down the road to the big school, West Brookfield Elementary Junior High School, which stood where the bandstand now adorns the head of the common. Remarkably, it would seem, we Hicks from the sticks, as we were called by the town kids, proved up to or ahead of them academically. It was the best of times and the worst of times, the years of World War II.